like my grandma used to say, like, get it from the horse's mouth. That's how she said. You getting it from the horse's mouth. I always get nervous when people say they do performance reviews in 90 days. That terrifies me. Scary, scary times, because that's your time to ramp up. But anyhow, that's topic for another day. We ain't talking about that today. Y'all ain't got to look all over for this information. Like, it's there. Hey y'all, this is Tamika, the face behind Heyyy HR, and I am very thrilled that I finally got to this video. It's taken me quite some time. So if you guys have been around for a while, or even if you kind of like tapped around my channel, I hope that you bumped on some of the videos that kind of led up to this video. And so some of the videos that I've done are what are OKRs, what are KPIs, what's an HR dashboard, what's an HR scorecard. I think I even did a video where I compared like HR Analysts to something else. So I want to go into one more video about HR Analysts, and this one's ways HR Analysts gather data. So people analytics. And I'm very excited to have this video now because we're scheduling a live interview with an HR analyst who's been in the game for over 15 years, I believe. I think she said 17. So I'm super excited to have her on the channel. She's going to give us even more information to go with this. So if you don't want to miss that live and you want to submit some questions, whatever you want to do, which you'll be able to do questions on the live, then definitely hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss it. But all we're going to do is talk a little bit about people analytics and how it works in the human resources department and how we use it for the company as a whole. So if you want to know more, then definitely keep watching. Now, folks are always wondering, where is the best place to get HR data? I'm in several different human resources groups, and people are always like, well, where can I get this? Where can I get that? There are 3 places that I think you should never, ever go wrong, and you will never, ever go wrong if you always start with your data in these 3 places. And so the first place is your human resources information system. This is where you're going to have maybe your employee records. Maybe you're going to have all your employee information. This is probably where you're searching for that information when you're doing a background screening, when you're doing a reference check, when you are verifying someone's income. Many companies have their HRSs different, so they all don't have the same thing. Some of the most common HRS systems are like Paycom, Paychex, Paylocity, ADP. I mean, we can go on and on. There's so many of them now. And so that's your HRS system, and in it could be very, very different. So you can probably just have all of your information in as far as your people analytics or your people data, but you can also probably have payroll in it. You can probably have performance improvement plans or performance management process in it. You probably have checklists in it. You probably keep track of your workers' comp, your FMLA. You probably even term someone in it. You probably have someone apply and then make them a employee in this. This is your human resources information system. That place is full of data. As long as you guys are using every component of it, as long as you're making employees use it for a lot of different things, then you should be able to pull some good data from it. Even if employees aren't using it, you're using it. So you can track how many people do I have in the organization, how many are in this department, what's the ratio of senior employee to someone brand new, how many females do I have over males, what type of degrees do they have, what type of education do they have, what's the salary like, what's the diversity like across the entire organization. There's so much data that you can pull directly from your HRIS. And the second place where you can absolutely get data from is going to be your applicant tracking system. Now that information is going to be honed in primarily on your new hires or your sourcing or your recruiting, the beginning stages, even from attraction. If we look at the employee life cycle, it will go from attraction all the way up until like onboarding. You can gather a lot of information there, right? So maybe you want to see which positions get the most applications, how fast are we going through the interviews, what's the data for like time to hire, time to fill. We always want to know from the day that we applied or someone applied, how long did it take for us to get them onboarding or give them an offer. People stop it at different places, but that's where you can get a lot of information from. I can't lie to you, I start with information in those places. So if I'm really trying to get data, depending on what it is, I start with the HRS or the ATS, but I finish that data, I feel like I get a holistic view of that data when I do surveys. So that's the third place where you can get information from on HR people analytics or data analytics that you can use for the HR department to advance your organization. I think surveys are even best because not only am I just pulling kind of static data, but I'm literally listening to my employees. I'm hearing what they're saying. You know, like my grandma used to say, like, get it from the horse's mouth. That's how she said, you getting it from the horse's mouth. So I really, really like surveys. Surveys, I get nervous about them. I do get nervous. We always want to do surveys when someone's onboarding, right? So it may be good to do one in their first, week or 2 weeks. It may be good to do one in their first 30 days and maybe good to do another in 90 days. I always get nervous when people say they do performance reviews in 90 days. That terrifies me. I have a ton of mentees who constantly telling me about their 90-day performance review. Scary, scary times, because that's your time to ramp up. But anyhow, that's topic for another day. We ain't talking about that today. Okay, so I like surveys, but I get nervous about surveys because I work for a company that is owned by a parent company, right? And so sometimes our parent company will send a survey, and then sometimes our company will send a survey as a whole, and then sometimes my department leaders or my executive leaders want to send one to the business unit or a department within that business unit, and I get nervous about survey fatigue. So be very, very careful about these surveys, because you don't want employees to kind of get exhausted with constantly filling out a survey. So let's hone in on the HRS for a second, because there are just tons of data sources, and I kind of gave us a quick overview, but I want to head into a little bit more. You guys know I use my notes on a regular basis, so I want to refer to it just a bit here. But performance management data is a really good place, or common place, I'll say your performance management system, or the data from your performance management, is the most common, or one of the most common places to get data from. Typically, we look at employee reviews, we look at performance ratings, we look at even your learning management systems data, because sometimes that's housed within that performance management, or it's referred to a lot during performance management. Succession planning, we can prepare for succession planning or figure out who we should start targeting for succession planning based on the data from those performance reviews. Also, employee surveys, instead of like sending a separate survey to employees, you can embed it into your performance management system. So you can ask the questions you would ask into a survey and put it into the performance management. Now it kind of forces people to ask these questions, right? We always can send out surveys, we can beg for them to fill them out. Rarely do we get 100% of participation. But when it comes to performance reviews, people literally tie that to a promotion, they tie it to a career path, they tie it to a merit increase. So you have a higher chance of getting a better completion rate. And then obviously your demographic data, you can always get that from there too. I'd say you can get demographic data without necessarily doing the performance section. It always can kind of tell us some ratios. Before we even get into a system, let me be clear. The best place to kind of get that data, after you already work with your benefits provider or your benefits broker for a year or even 2 years, I would start with them. They have all of this data. They use it for multiple reasons that are very, very profound to your company. So they use it to determine how much your interest rate should be. They use it to determine how much your deductible should be. They use it to determine which medication should be free or low cost. They use it to determine when someone should be on or off a plan. So I would definitely start with my benefits broker. Another thing that you can do is, definitely contact each of your account managers. So typically you have a different account manager for each type of benefit. You have an account manager for like your medical. Then you have another one for like vision. You have another one for dental. You have another one for your life insurances. You may have another one for short-term or long-term disability. It's nice to have all of those in one places, but rarely are they all in one place or with one account manager. So account managers can be good people to get that from, but if you have a broker, they can gather that data from all your account managers for you, because it includes benefits premiums, deductions and enrollments, salaries, bonuses. So you can obviously get payrolls help too, right? If you really want to know about salaries, benefits, or salaries and bonuses, and like maybe spot on bonuses, maybe annual bonuses, maybe commission, maybe targets, then you can get that from payroll too. That's a good place. Payroll or finance. Travel and education expenses, you can get finance to help you with that too. So you see, your HRS is full of so much information, child. Y'all ain't got to look all over for this information. Like it's there. All you have to do is learn how to use your system.
Tamika, what if I don't know how to use my HRS?
Guess what? There are tons of modules in there. Or contact the person that you always contact when you have questions and say, hey, how can I learn more? Sometimes they do live webinars. Sometimes they have a learning library within the HRIS. So get familiar with it. Sometimes just play around in it. You got some downtime. That's how I've learned a lot of HRISs, is that when I have downtime, I dive in and play with some things. So when you get some downtime, you do the same thing. Now, another good data source where you can get some good information is obviously the applicant tracking system, right? We already talked about the ATS being a good place. Let's kind of revisit some of this data you can get, right? So we breezed over it in the beginning. I want to kind of give you guys a list, right? To give you more of a view of like, what can I really get? Tamika gave me a few things, but isn't there more I can get? Yes, there's a lot more you can get. So you can get like the number of candidates per requisition, the number of candidates per job type. You can get the number of candidates per geographic or per state or per county. You can get a number of candidates in a certain radius of your office. You can get recruitment sources, right? So you can put in, you know, you guys are filling that application and say, where did you find this job posting? Now, I use that a lot in my recruitment meetings when I was doing an aggressive recruiting strategy, because I wanted to see of these 19 job boards, and I was literally using 19 of them. So of these 19 job boards, which ones were really giving me the best bang for my buck? Right? Which ones was the company getting a good return on investment? If I'm paying you $500 a month and I'm only getting 2 candidates, but then I have this other system where I'm paying $200 a month, but I'm getting 2,000 candidates, then maybe I shouldn't use this other one as much, right? So that's a good place to get some data. Is your ATS to look at your recruitment sources, to look at your job architecture, to look at your attraction data. You know, again, that's very similar to the recruitment sources, right? So now you're already looking at this recruitment data. You know where they came from. Now you can say how many of these candidates from this particular place actually meet minimum requirements. Because maybe I had that 2,000 candidates, but only 100 of them really meet minimum requirements. So that might be a good source to get a ton of applicants, but not a ton of qualified applicants. Cool? All right, so then you can also get interview pipeline timeline. I already told you about time to fill and time to hire. So one thing I definitely want to just kind of point out here is like, you can get data from external sources as well. So it could be a company CRM. It could definitely be vendors that you use. It can also be, like I already said, payroll or finance. And so guys, I'm definitely going to put all of the links to the videos down below, where I already told you guys about the videos I've done in the past. So I already talked about OKRs, KPIs, HR dashboards, and we've talked about the HR analyst position and HR scorecards. So I'll put all of those in the description below. So if you want some more resources, you really want to make sure that you got all of your questions together before we go live with a real HR analyst that's been doing this for over 15 years, then definitely go into the description box. For those of you who are new, I hope that you found this video helpful. For those of you who are returning, man, I am so happy y'all keep coming back. Please do me a favor, put it in the comments and tell me if this one was helpful to you, okay? I want to keep making videos that y'all really don't like. At the end of the day, I cannot wait to see you on the next video.